the rental agreement between the Crown Estate and former Prince Andrew. Now, there was public outrage when it was revealed that Andrew was paying what's called a peppercorn rent, so ostensibly nothing, to live in a 30-room mansion at Great Windsor Park, the Royal Lodge as it's known. Now, after that public outrage, the Public Accounts Committee wrote to the Crown Estate for more information as to how that rental agreement was made up.
After years of stubbornly resisting pressure to leave Royal Lodge, the former Duke of York is now reportedly preparing for a dramatic downgrade. Sources claim he will swap his grand 30-room Windsor mansion for a temporary residence, being bluntly described as little more than a shoebox on the King's Sandringham estate. What makes this move even more uncomfortable is not just the size of the new property, but its location and the sense that he may no longer enjoy the privacy he once did. This latest development highlights just how far Andrew's status has fallen. According to reports, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is expected to vacate Royal Lodge in the new year and relocate to a modest holding on a remote section of the King's private Norfolk estate. The contrast could not be more striking. Royal Lodge boasts 30 rooms, expansive grounds, and decades of royal history, luxuries that may soon be firmly in his past. This new property, by comparison, is described as modest, temporary, and largely out of public view. Sources emphasize that it is not intended to be Andrew's permanent residence. The expectation is that he will eventually relocate to a larger home elsewhere on the Sandringham estate, one that is currently undergoing extensive renovations. Even so, those familiar with the plans say the future property will still be significantly smaller than Royal Lodge. In short, there is no scenario in which Andrew regains anything close to his former status or lifestyle.
That these generous sweetheart deals that are gifted to royals for lavish, large mansion, manor-type properties perhaps may have to come to an end, or at the very least need to be investigated.
Yeah, those rental figures are quite astounding, Elias. So in the case of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he will be leaving Royal Lodge, but he won't get any compensation for the early surrender of his lease.
Royal aides are said to have already begun clearing Andrew's belongings from Royal Lodge, and not in any routine daylight operation. According to one source quoted by the Mail, on Sunday, a royal household lorry arrived under cover of darkness, quietly transporting items to a Windsor storage facility owned by the Crown Estate. That single detail underscores just how sensitive and carefully managed this departure has become, sources suggest. The secrecy is driven by both practical and reputational concerns. Royal Lodge is reportedly in a state of serious disarray. Andrew is described as a habitual hoarder, someone who has filled room after room with documents, photographs, and personal collections amassed over decades. Some anterooms are said to be stacked from floor to ceiling. This is not the kind of clutter that can be boxed up over a single weekend. One source described the process as a rumbirum excavation rather than a straightforward move. An estimated 80% of Andrew's belongings are said to require either long-term storage or relocation elsewhere. Some items demand careful handling, while others connected to royal history may need professional archiving to preserve their significance.
The Crown Estate, though, has been essentially a mechanism for the royal family to gift members very generous rental agreement.
According to that same source, even if Andrew wanted to leave immediately, he simply could not. The sheer volume of his possessions, combined with ongoing refurbishment work at the Sandringham property, means the move is expected to take months. Control has also become an issue. Sources say Andrew has been reluctant to accept help sorting through his belongings, further slowing the process. That resistance has reportedly frustrated aides who now see what should have been a straightforward relocation turning into a prolonged and delicate operation. Now attention turns to where Andrew is actually headed, because this is where the situation becomes even more awkward. One property Andrew is said to have wanted is Wood Farm, the 5-bedroom cottage where Prince Philip spent his retirement. It is a place rich in personal and royal significance. A place long associated with privacy, simplicity, and dignity, but according to media, reports there has been hesitation over whether housing Andrew there would place him too close to the rest of the family. That phrase alone invites questions. Too close? In what sense? Too visible, too uncomfortable, too difficult to overlook? While the precise reasoning remains unclear, royal sources suggest that proximity has become a genuine concern when deciding Andrew's future living arrangements.
And he's also been stripped of his Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, which is the highest order of knighthood within the UK. So it's more of a formality because we knew this was going to happen, but it is yet another reminder that Andrew really has lost everything in terms of his royal titles, apart from, you may recall, the dukedom legally and formally, because that does require an act of Parliament to completely lose it. But the king has basically done all he can within his power to remove everything he can from his brother.
The precise location of Andrew's temporary home on the Sandringham estate is being deliberately kept under wraps. Royal sources have declined to comment, and Buckingham Palace has offered no clarification. What is known is that the property is remote, small, and very much a holding solution rather than a permanent base. Even that arrangement may be short-lived. Friends of Andrew have told the Mail on Sunday that he is unlikely to remain in Norfolk on a full-time basis. Several sources believe he may ultimately leave the United Kingdom altogether. The Middle East is frequently mentioned, particularly Bahrain, where Andrew is said to have long-established business connections. Those close to him describe Bahrain as a likely long-term destination. That possibility adds another layer to the story. If Andrew does relocate abroad, this move to Sandringham may simply be a transitional step, a quiet extraction from Royal Lodge, while longer-term plans are made elsewhere. Such a shift would also significantly reduce his visibility in the UK, an outcome that may suit both Andrew and the wider institution. What is clear is that this is not a move being made on Andrew's terms. The language used by sources is revealing temporary shoeboxes, eyes remote under cover of darkness. These are not words typically associated with dignity or choice. They suggest a man being managed rather than accommodated. And then there is the symbolism of Royal Lodge itself. Once a visible marker of Andrew's status as a senior royal, the property has increasingly become a liability. Reports have repeatedly described it as dilapidated, with extensive and costly repairs required. Combined with Andrew's loss of official duties and financial support, the writing has been on the wall for some time. This move now appears to mark the final chapter in a long-running and quietly contentious dispute. What happens next remains uncertain. Will Andrew retreat into his temporary Sandringham accommodation while renovations continue? Will he eventually relocate to a smaller permanent home on the estate, or will he, as friends suggest, ultimately pack up and leave the country altogether? The UK altogether for the Middle East. For now, the only certainty is this Royal Lodge is being emptied one lorry at a time, and the former Duke of York's world continues to shrink both literally and figuratively. So here is the question I'll leave you with. Do you believe this move to Sandringham is genuinely temporary, or is it the beginning of Andrew's permanent retreat from royal life in Britain? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest royal developments, make sure you subscribe to the channel.